All right. What's up, Henry? Just me and you, bro. Welcome to Convict Inc. I'm Robert Rosso. Um, this will be recorded, so that was really my intent. It was to do a video, um, but I like doing lives, as I've said before. So tonight I'm going to talk about Carmine Persico. Um, by the way, before I get going, let me say this: people have been complaining about me not having a schedule, and it's totally true. Um, I will say in the last 24 hours, I'm closer. I thought by now I would have more of a schedule down. It's true. Um, but it appears like I can get something solid here shortly. That's personal issues, including work schedule and stuff like that. So I just want everybody to know that. Um, what else? Today's my birthday. Happy birthday to me. 54 years old. Wow. 54. That's a trip. So let me go ahead and get into the Carmine story, which I did on my phone. It didn't work out here a couple of days ago. I plan on putting it up for Mob Monday. And then, of course, thank you, Tommy. I can see it without my glasses. Leon, what's up, buddy? So anyway, Carmine Persico. I was just doing some quick Wikipedia stuff, going over it. Okay, so I'll get you there. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Um, I was going over some quick Wikipedia stuff about Carmine. Uh, longest, what did they say? The longest held reputed. Let me read this real quick. Hold on. So the former kind of died after 33 years. Carmine said that from diabetes. I never knew Carmine had diabetes. I'm not sure. I heard he died of a staph infection. So they're saying complications from diabetes. Anyway, 5 years old. I was just reading through this just a few minutes ago, just to go over some stuff. It doesn't really matter. Um, my point was to talk about Carmine's daily routine and the band Sugarland, Jennifer Nettles. Okay, so let's start by here. Carmine was sentenced in 1987 to 139 years in prison, racketeering, RICO case. Giuliani was the lead prosecutor. Excuse me, I'm making a quiche right now. And right before, seconds before I came on, I grabbed a piece of bacon, which I microwaved, took a bite of it, and it stuck in my teeth. And it wasn't done, and I'm probably going to get sick from eating raw pork. But hey, I've been worse, right? So, 139 years sentence. Um, Way overkill, by the way. The time that he was given. A lot of it was loan sharking cases. Anyway, I won't get into the particulars of the crime. That's already out there. So I'm just repeating. I'm just beating a dead horse on that stuff. Carmine was originally sent to USP Marion in Illinois, which at the time was the equivalent of what the ADX is now. It's where they send the worst of the worst, heads of crime families, large scale gang leaders, whatever. ABs were in Marion once upon a time, some of them. Then they went to the ADX. You also have terrorists, guys that are in prison who keep screwing up, disciplinary problems, if you will. Those are the type of guys that end up in the maxes. Right now, I think they just have ADX. They have SMOO programs, which is Special Management Unit. No, oh, that's in prison, which Illinois. Thank you. I'm sorry. Yeah, Illinois. So I believe he stayed there. Was it 5 years? About 5 years before being sent to USP Lompoc. He spent most of his time, the majority of his time, I believe, was at Lompoc. If you add the Butner complex in his older years, maybe the time weighed out about the same. So at Lompoc, Carmine ran the Italian American Club. Um, Back in the days in the feds, they had a lot of different clubs. They had their own area in the prison. That's where he spent a lot of time. A lot of people know that. He had a garden. He gardened there quite a bit. The warden let him have a garden, and the new staff came in and they killed all his plants. I remember him talking about that. Also, while he was serving time in Lompoc, there was a guy who was in Marion with him, whose name I will not even mention, who worked with the feds in something called Operation Snake Charmer. For those of you that don't know, they used to call Carmine the snake. Carmine the Persico snake. His friend called him Junior. He hated that whole snake label. Um, Carmine hated being called anything but Carmine or Junior, which his close friends called him. Um, if anybody called him old man, OG, Pops, he just lost it. I remember a kid calling him Pops one time, and he said, "Pop these nuts in your mouth." Funny, pretty funny actually. So other notable things. So they tried to get him on a for running the head of the Colombo Crime Family. Um, while in Lompoc, it didn't pan out. What they did get him with was inappropriate relations with his attorney, Linda Schaefer. Um, what that means, that's what I'm saying. That's just what they got him for. They had the visitation rooms wired because the informant in the case of Operation Snake Charmer told them that Carmine was talking about a bunch of stuff, which that's not him. I don't believe a word of it. He doesn't run his mouth like that. He did not run his mouth like that. But he ended up leaving Lompoc in 2005 when they closed Lompoc, made Lompoc a medium security facility. Right now, it might still say United States Penitentiary, Lompoc, California. Maybe I think that's still set on the outside of the prison, but it's actually an FCI or Federal Correctional Institution, which is a medium. So you've got your highs, which are USPs, your medium, yes, medium high, medium low, low, and then satellite camps. So when they closed down Lompoc or turned it into an FCI, they transferred most of the people out of there, and they sent a lot of them to Big Sandy in Kentucky. Carmine was there a short period of time before ultimately being sent to the Butner Federal Medical Center. So, Butner or Federal Correctional Complex in Butner, North Carolina, has 5 facilities. They have a satellite camp, an inmate prison, a low, a medium, and a medium low to medium high. Originally, Carmine was sent to the hospital because he had testicle issues. You have him, the way he put it was he had big balls. So, I mean, that was just his take on the whole thing. Carmine had big balls, and that he did. I met Carmine, and well, I actually met him first at Butner FMC in the hospital. What they do at the FMC is they take the inmates from the low, the medium, high, and they send them all to the FMC during the daytime. Most people in the complex are administrative. They have medical issues, a lot of them. Care level 3, that means that they need to be seen by doctors frequently. That's the short of it. And Carmine was elderly, so they ended up leaving him in the Butner complex after he had the testicle issues under control. So I met him in the FMC when he was on a day trip. He was in Greg De Palma's room. Greg De Palma, a lot of people know, was said to have foot and mouth disease. He was the captain, or one of the captains in the Gambino family, who talked a lot. And Carmine and Greg were friends, really, actually pretty good friends. So I met him, Carmine, in Greg's cell, or Greg's hospital room one day. Carmine was a smoker, cigarette smoker. Greg De Palma lived for smoking cigarettes. Yes, they were considered contraband in the hospital. However, cigarettes were wide open. Later, Carmine's nephew, Jojo Russo, was a good friend of mine in Lewisburg. We had a little bit of a falling out before I was transferred to the FMC for bladder cancer reasons. And then some months later, Jojo ended up there with renal cancer and died in 17 days. That during that time, I have mentioned before that I helped take care of him along with Tommy Karate. And when I was ultimately transferred to Butner FCI 1, Carmine Persico and Joey Testa and Daniel Castelli, who's from the Philadelphia area, took me under their wing. I became part of that crew, if you will, in prison. Not crew as an organized crime, just group. Excuse me. So the daily routine of Carmine. I've had somebody ask me this in emails before, and to me it seems not interesting, but I guess I'll put it out there. Carmine woke up every day anywhere between 8 and 9. He started off by walking across from his cell to the microwave. I can still see him doing it. His cup of coffee held out like that, charging the microwave, and you better not be in the way. He wanted his coffee quick. Um, After he make his cup of coffee and do what he had to do, he was all about reading the morning papers or the New York papers, I should say. New York Post, the New York Daily News. When it was around, the New York Times, but he was a big Post fan. He got the Post. And another person, Stevie Milakis, I think, was got the Daily News. So he read those from front to back. Of course, he was looking for the crime sections and what was going on in the gossip world, but avid reader, avid reader. So they say he had a fourth grade education. I heard it on NPR one time. They were talking about leaders of California gangs and how the leaders were smart. And one of the guys went out there and helped bust up the leadership of the Crips and the Bloods, I guess it was, happened to be from New York and mentioned Carmine Persico and said that with the fourth grade education, he could have led any multinational corporation. It is true. One of the things that Carmine really kicked himself in the ass for, I guess, was a good thing. I mean, is a way to put it, is his lack of education. Not educate, his lack of vocabulary. He said words matter. He was really big about that, really big about higher education for family, friends, anybody. And he believed that with the big vocabulary, you can go further. And he always wished that he had a bigger vocabulary. Okay, so in the summertime, Carmine went out on the yard every day, played bocce ball. Right about when I got there, he started slowing down on the bocce ball. I remember that there was an article about Bernie Madoff, and in it, it said that Bernie Madoff hung out with Carmine Persico, and they played bocce ball. And Carmine was like, I wrote a counterpiece to that. I don't remember the title of it. I think I had it on Gorilla Convict or maybe my former website, which was Convict Inc. I don't think it was for Vice when I was writing for Vice because I wrote for Vice afterwards. But he was pissed off about that. Like, what idiots, because he'd stopped playing bocce ball by that time. Nevertheless, he went out to the bocce ball area and sat for an hour to 2 hours. There was a point when he tried to start gardening and the staff wouldn't let him. He loved gardening. He loved flowers. Just the guy loved it. Some of the staff let him grow a few things around the rec shack, but then somebody else would come in and tear him out. It was one of those things. He couldn't really get it off the ground at Butler. Let me think. So, starting at 3 o'clock every day, and this is in Georgia Tech unit at Butner FCI1, where we were at. CNN came on. Watched CNN for an hour. At 4 o'clock, maybe CNN might stay on a little while. There was a couple of guys from that area, some black guys from New York. They had from North Carolina. They had a show that they liked to watch, and I forgot what it was. But after that show was over, he let them watch it sometimes. And what I mean by that is the TV that Carmine sat in front of was Carmine's TV. That's just what it was. He rarely turned the channel. Joey Testa ran the TV. Then I came there, and then Joey left, and I was the one who had to walk up and turn the channel. And it sucks to do that because you get a lot of blowback. For those of you that don't know, Butner FCI1 has a big turnover rate. So there's always new guys coming in. So when the new guy comes in and they're engaged in watching something, and all of a sudden somebody comes up and turns the TV, it really sucks, So that happened quite a bit. If somebody really pushed back, Carmine would get up and go talk to him. That's pretty much how that happened. I remember one day there was a guy that wanted to watch Cops. By the way, one of the most watched shows in prison, and I saw this in some news piece. Is the show Cops, or was the show Cops? And it was true. A lot of guys love to watch the show Cops. I wasn't one of them. I do like the crime shows and the 2020 and Nightline and stuff. I love to watch that, but otherwise, no. Um, this kid gets mad because he wants to watch cops, and I was tolerant to a point, and then I lost it. Brought him in my cell, and before we started going at it, Carmine intervened, and then got mad at me for almost getting into a fight. Um, but that's just a little side note. But it was one of the CSI shows he liked. It wasn't Miami. It was something else. It wasn't Los Angeles. Maybe it was just a regular one. He damn, what was that? There was one show that came on and then went off. Oh, I can't believe I forgot it. I didn't really care for it, but he loved that show. Okay, well, let me get to the main point, which was what the title's about, and that's Sugarland. 2010 CMT Awards. The band Sugarland. I think most of you guys know who they are. Jennifer Nettles, and I forgot the guy's name. Um, they played the song "Stay" on live on the CMT Awards, and Carmine had never heard of Sugarland. Wasn't the biggest country music fan at the time. He liked oldies, and I mean old. You guys from New York, Sinatra, lovers, and stuff like that. He was one of them, but he liked the oldies. Um, Carmine had a radio that he probably had since he started his bid. He did not. I just put a piece of bacon up. I'm sorry. Who's stuck in my tooth? He did not wear watches that were expensive. $10 watch the most. He wasn't into the new sneakers and all that stuff. Um, he was definitely not one of those people that wanted his wealth. What he did do was he ate very good. Um, Full commissary draw, bought stamps. Stamps were currency in prison. For those of you who don't know, a first class stamp, let's just say it's 50 cents. You buy a book of stamps, there's 20 from the store. You can get it for about half the price in prison. Guys that sell contraband or sandwiches or whatever, they hustle in stamps. So if I got a sandwich and I sell it for 4 stamps, I'm accumulating a bunch of stamps. I then take all those stamps that I'm selling, put them in books, little wrappers of paper, and then I sell them either for commissary or the big guys, they would have people send them money to their books. So $100, $500 worth of stamps in bulk, money goes to their books, or the money could be sent from, let's say, my mother to somebody else, his mother on the street, for example. Carmine bought books of stamps and he used them for food. That's what he bought, food. Food from the kitchen. Food from the kitchen, predominantly. So getting back to Sugarland. Sugarland comes on, they're up, and Jennifer Nettles starts. The song is beautiful. Most of you guys have heard it. Grind Jr., I just saw you pop up. I haven't got my glasses on yet. Let me get through this and then I'll read some comments. So Sugarland starts. Jennifer Nettles starts and Carmine was watching. He's watching the show. He's easily distracted, fully engaged as soon as Jennifer Nettles starts singing. And I remember looking over. So we had a table. Okay. He sat, it's one of those little tables with the chairs that are built in. And then I had a little plastic chair. I sat to the side and I put my feet up on the other chair. And it was me and him at the time. And I looked over and he was like in awe, right? So the voice got him right off the rip. So he really listened and was able to, listen clearly to the story she was saying in the song "Stay." And I swear I can see it like it's yesterday, and that's the whole point of the video. Jennifer Nettles comes on, and the song is about a girl who is in love with the guy who's married, or who has he's living with a different girl. He comes over to the girl's house, and when she calls, he has to get up and go home. So she's begging him, why don't you stay, right? And I'm probably being repetitive on this, or maybe you don't even need to say this because everybody's heard this song pretty much. But at the end of the song, so Carmine's fully engaged listening. His eyes teared up from her voice of an angel. And then as she got her, I was going to say balls, that's not the right word. as the song progressed and she turns it around and she's up off her knees, that's the words of the song. And then she finally has the guts to tell this guy, hey, no more. Why don't you stay? As soon as she did that and the verse flipped to like, why don't you stay with me, to why don't you stay at home with your wife? Carmine went, yeah. Hey, it was freaking hilarious. I mean, it was like, it, it was like she was there singing to him. And he started, yeah, he's laughing. He just thought it was the best thing. From that point on, I watch CMT videos every Sunday morning. They get repetitive. It was something to do. I have trouble sleeping to this day. I do, although I will say in the last week, exception of maybe 2 nights or one night, um, I've been sleeping like a baby. But I've always had issues sleeping, and I would get up early in the morning and country music videos were on. And yes, they loop and it gets repetitive. I still made it a point to have them on. From that night forward, after he heard that song, he wanted to see every time if he was up, tell me if that band comes on, that girl comes on is what he would say. And he literally said she had the voice of an angel afterwards. I mean, he loved Jennifer Nelson. Okay. And he didn't like some of the other videos, thought she looked a little quirky, which she is. But it was super funny. Let me back up. So damn it. I'm sorry. It's always something. Eating this or that, right? This time I didn't mean it. This time, like I said, I'm cooking a quiche, or at least attempting to. And just took a piece of bacon right before and it's still raw. So in Butner, they don't allow inmates to hold down tables in the chow hall. For those of you who have not been in prison, holding down the tables in the chow hall is commonplace at most spots. You have your gang tables, which will be different gangs, different white gangs, different black gangs. You have your guys from North Carolina, Florida, and they all branch out in different subsections, uh, the DC guys. So you got the DC Muslims, the DC, so I don't want to say that name, it was derogatory, but there was different sections, okay? Butler was not allowed to have that, with the exception of Carmine Persico. They allowed him to for whatever reason. Carmine had a table. That table consisted of, depending on who was there, usually Italian guys. Joey Testa for sure, Daniel Castelli. What was the lawyer's name? Mark Desiderio was there for a while. He was a lawyer, Florida or California. But and then you had Stevie Mialakis, Junior Matisco, some other guys. What he normally did was he'd find somebody who worked on the yard who had access to early chow, and that person was designated to go hold the table down. Because again, you got all new guys coming in. They're already told that they can't have tables. So they see an open spot in the very front. So naturally, they're going to go sit there. Well, Carmine wanted somebody to hold it down. And what that means is you go there and you put plates or spoons or whatever on the table. It sucks doing that stuff. I didn't have, I wasn't part of that because I was in the unit with him. But the other guys always complained. He would get people to do for so long. And that person will get a lot of shit usually. So, and I've talked before about the fight that happened. And that was, there was a young black kid from DC who Carmine would give a bad time to because he used to sit there. I will say that the kid normally got up, or he would wait until like there would be 3 or 4 people there. And he used to bust Carmine's balls. He knew it irritated Carmine. And he like kind of made a joke out of it a little bit. But one day he was there with 4 of his homeboys, and they were right in the middle of eating. The chow hall was crowded. Carmine, for a second, sat behind him and then said, "Are you done yet? Are you done yet?" The guy ended up throwing Kool-Aid on Carmine. And Chucky, I forgot about Chucky. He was part of it. McKinley, that's how you say his last name. What's up, Chucky? I haven't heard from you in a while. Chucky got in there, was fighting with, was ready to blast one of them, or did get into a fight with the kid, one of the guys, and it escalated out into the yard where there was a bunch of DC guys and me and a couple of crippled dudes. It was crazy. So I've told that story before. So Frank Morocco, if you guys haven't heard that, we talk about that in the interview with, I think, Buffalo's Finest is what I put the title. It was Frank Morocco. Um, he actually contacted Jerry Capisci, who runs Mobland, about the story, but whatever. It was very accurate in that description. If you guys have never read it, maybe you should go look at it. Spot on accurate. So yeah, Carmine had the only table. And of course, I've mentioned, and I'll say it again, the day Carmine met Bernie Madoff. Bernie Madoff comes in, never seen somebody come into prison so happy in my life. Uh, Carmine immediately sends Bernie a care package because he's from New York. Shower, shoes, food, whatever. Bernie didn't. He had a lot going on. A lot of staff members coming up to Bernie was, the new celebrity, big celebrity on the compound. So it was a week or two before they actually met. Carmine would never go up to somebody and introduce himself like that. We were in medical. It was me, a guy named Eddie Thompson. Was it Thompson? Eddie, who's from North Carolina, me and Carmine. We all three of us had call outs to medical that day. Call out is a notice saying you have to be somewhere at a certain time. Call outs, appointment scheduling, whatever. So Bernie had call out at that time as well, and in comes Bernie. Me and Carmine are sitting down waiting for the doctor. Bernie comes in, sees Carmine, walks up to him. Mr. Persico, I'm Bernie Madoff. And Carmine said, call me Carmine, call me Carmine. Or Carmine Persico, call me Carmine. Formal introduction. Yeah, that was a moment. I wish I would have had a camera, video, and sold it to Inside Edition because they were offering $10,000 a pop at a time. But no, but for real, it was like a historical moment that, it really was. Going on here. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm not going to do this and shut this off. So, shoot, let me shut this phone off. That's rude. That'd be rude all the time on the phone in the day. So, yeah, for sure, memory that it's instilled in my mind forever, and it was pretty cool. Even though I was in prison, and I was in prison. Yeah, that's what I have right now. Let me read some of these first because I know they're gonna get like, what do you guys do? I'd be kidding. I just There we go. Okay. So yeah. All right. Henry Leon Swan. Okay. Tommy Thunder, happy birthday. Thank you. Floyd, happy birthday, homeboy. Thank you, Floyd. Adrian, happy birthday. Thank you. Yeah, freaking four. And it's All Saints Day. Okay. So Ronnie, happy birthday. Thank you. A Sparky 2. Thank you. Henry. Rudy Tootie, Foosball, do you have any relations to John Malkovich? No, I look like Cyrus the Virus. I know, I've heard that since the Con Air came out. What did you dress up for as Halloween? I didn't. But I know somebody who dressed up as Cruella DeVille. Happy birthday. Oh, the 11 Scorpions. All right, Joseph. Lottie, didn't the feds try to send Carmine to a sex offender prison in West Virginia? Okay. Yes. The answer to that is yes. I forgot about that. I did bring it up before. I'm not trying to embarrass his family about it or dig up old dirt. The truth of the matter is that Carmine, way back when he was younger, was charged, and that's not taking away. So was charged. Him and I believe there was about 5 people were charged with a sexual assault case. There was no time served. Nevertheless, it was on his jacket. And what the prison started doing was they were finding sex offenders and putting them, didn't matter if they were in there for sex. They were finding sex offenders and they were putting them in sex offender programs. And out of the blue, one day, we're sitting there and they told Carmine to pack it up. And, matter of fact, it was a day or two before. And they told him that he was going to Petersburg. Petersburg was the new sex offender, or one of many, I should actually say. And of course, he was freaking out because normally it's for like pedophiles. It's not even guys who are hands-on, sexual assault, rape, whatever. Normally, that's what everybody was told Petersburg was 4. Well, he was instantly on the phone calling attorneys. They packed him out and they put him on a bus and literally took him off the bus and back out. I don't know how that happened. I don't know exactly what went on, but they stopped that transfer. But yes, the answer to your question is yes. That did happen. Mike, thank you. What are you, like 29 years old? So mentally, probably 29. I went to prison when I was 27, and I've got the whole drug history thing. Um, so yeah, I've got 46 days, I guess, clean right now. But the whole drug history thing, total. Um, you stop and start. They say that you're emotionally. So yeah, I'm probably 3 emotionally. But I don't feel like I'm 50 years old, and I don't relate with people that usually are my age. That's the truth, and I think that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. What's up, Ben Freak? Please, move the mic closer. Fuck, I always do that. John Wolf, got to put yourself around better people if you want to speak better. Oh, I get what you're saying about karma. Hey, Grind. John Wolf, Joey had the remote. So, yeah. So in that setting, Joey did not have the remote. Joey did there. What? Nobody had a remote. Um, Kingdom, what's up? Happy birthday, Robert. I have some questions for you about Carmine Persico. When his son was sentenced to life, what was? Oh, you contacted me, or you said this? Okay. What was his initial reaction? Did his demeanor change after Alley Boy was hit with life? Look, they anticipated he was going to get it. Okay, so no. Did his demeanor change? No. He always. They knew. Um, the only thing I'll say is that, and I've said it and got blowback. When Alley Boy was sent out west, he was worried about him, and literally told me he was worried about him. Being I don't want to use extorted because I don't know Alley Boy. I don't know, but having gang members, try to make a name for themselves by doing something. Okay, that's the way I'll put it. He was definitely worried, definitely 100%. The initial reaction, though, no. It was expected. It was expected for sure. Okay, Carmine, like Eisenhower, our contemporary music. Me too, Rob. Hate the show's cops, but haven't. Okay, years now because now I'm officiated to YouTube, 3 newspapers. Okay, grind. Mob Rat Hunter, what's up? Good to see you. Good to see you too. Did you watch BET? Um, who's ball? You're making jokes that the new me can't comment on. John Wolf, Carmine related to that song. John Wolf. I'm just saying for sure it was. Happy birthday. Thank you, David. Ron Gross, what's up, Ron? Joe Delamere, what's Rob? What's up? I'm well. Chemo was today, 33. Felt terrible going into my med. God, I hate these. I'm sorry, but I'm glad you're doing good with it. I was not driving. Yes, chemo takes a big bite from one. Big bite, but everyone, I'm good. Cancer keep getting lower. Is that your BD, Rob? Is that my birthday, Rob? Today's my birthday. Is that what you mean, Grind? Thoughts and prayers. Hopefully, we'll both win. Miss America, deepest prayers. Ron Gross. Ryan sent. Hang in there, bud. I'm sitting next to one right now who just got through it. Stay strong. Right on. Right on, Ken from Connecticut. Someone drugs in prison have a way of really messing up your life skills. Sad. Okay, for sure. For sure. Especially when you don't have a life because you spend them in prison and getting adjusted. Life sucks. The Gosta. Yeah. So yeah, I don't I was trying to read and think about um thank you, Alexander Wilson. I appreciate it. Have you heard about the drama cover-ups at USP Atlanta? The New York Times that it may be the worst run prison by administration. Okay, Alexander Wilson, thank you for $5. Now, And are you talking about a new New York Times piece? Because they shut down Atlanta, from what I understand. It's been a minute since I've looked. Atlanta is notorious for, look, they had kilos of cocaine in there in the 90s. Kilos, kilos, not little pack, kilos. Um, Off the chain. When you have prisons, I don't want to get into it here. So yeah, look, I'm gonna say it. And man, typically, from my experience, what I've seen, and this can be attributed to socioeconomic reasons. Prisons that have a majority of black guards seem to have a lot of contraband. Anybody that's African American black, please don't take offense to that. Now, I can say why I think, okay, because a lot of those guys came from poor areas or the hood, whatever. A lot of them know people in there, cousins, relatives, or friends. A lot of the prison was black, overpopulated with African Americans, for sure. Okay. And that's the truth. Um, that's what I've noticed. Okay. Not to say, so Jessup, Georgia, I think that's predominantly white. They had quite a bit of contraband, but Forest City, Arkansas, um, some Butner, I remember some cops that were actually gang members there, um, have a lot of contraband with it, where there's predominantly African American guards. That's just from what I've seen. So Atlanta was, I mean, the guards are mostly all black. Um, but that doesn't mean, I don't want to like jump out there and say it doesn't mean that there's a lot of places where there's just predominantly white guards. That doesn't happen. Again, Jessup, Georgia, from what I understand, was predominantly white. They had a lot of contraband being brought in by staff. But Atlanta was notorious for having closets for visitation where you can bring your wife or girl in, which is, if you're in prison, awesome. Um, but I mean, just it's always been. So yeah, now I'm got it. Glad to see you live, brother. Hope you're doing well and working through everything one step at a time. Joey Bay, good. I'm doing very good. Doing good, really. Again, and when it comes to my scheduling issues, um, I'm right on the cusp of being able to figure that out. Okay, that has several factors, for sure. But it's about there. Um, Maybe I'll know not by tomorrow, maybe Friday, but for sure by Monday. So yeah, and um, yeah, everything's. I don't want to get too much on the personal stuff. That's old. Yeah, that's old, John. If you can do it, anyone can. Like I said, brother, I've got a hell of a story myself for my age, but I am rooting for you. Thanks, Joey. Ronnie, facts are facts. DeGosta, will guards mainly smuggling contraband, someone of their own race, or it won't matter? DeGosta, won't matter. So I was at, okay, so I was at, but when I came into Butner Hospital, it was January 27th, 2007, and I was sent there on a private jet, five five correctional officers. Way overkill. Way. It was stupid. They spent so much money just transporting me there, right? Um, they had to have the lieutenant, medical staff, and three guards to watch me because I had a life sentence. I came in and they had me marked as gang leader, dirty white boy, okay, at the time. So the SIS, or the intelligence officers, came in. There was two of them, and one of them did not want me didn't want me in general population because of my record. The other one argued with them, totally for it. He won't let me out. Explained to me that this is a neutral zone if there's any enemies. Look, I was there for cancer treatment plus. Um, yeah, so I had no problem. But there was a guard there who heard this. Within 48 hours, and he was African American, within 48 hours, he pulled up on me and said, I got cigarettes, $500 a carton. Gave me the address where I can send the money. And it was on and popping for months. That's, yeah. So the answer to your question is money's money. and they look for people who they think they can trust. That's how it works out. Um, Extra facts because prohibition doesn't work. John Wolfe. A majority of contraband comes in through the guards. Yes, it does. By the way, damn, Drew. So Monday I was supposed to have on a guy who's running the harm reduction and a lot more. He's got titles. He is involved with the Libertarian Party. Drew Cook. Yeah, he was going to come on Monday. Um, I wasn't able to get in a location to where I can actually do the interview properly. Uh, and he's going to come on and he's running an exchange program. He's got all the facts about prohibition. That's what brought this up. Um, and I've got some people lined up, and it's just a matter of like I got over a hump about the days of where I can be or where I'm going to do as far as this. I'm in the same undisclosed location. There's kind of three of them, but one of them is too hard to do stuff at. The other one is about to be out of the question. Uh, that's part of changes in my life, which are positive. And yeah, so this is where it'll be. Didn't you do some time in Butner? There are some crazy stories about that place. It's here in North Carolina. Have a lot of family up there. They're near Butner. Joey, yes. Um, the Bush administration, Alberto Gonzalez, they made Butner like the sex offender hub. Okay, so they put all these sex offender programs in. That was when the sex offenders first started coming in for the internet porn stuff. So now you can go look at the numbers. Sex offenders in the feds have just, I mean, blown up like the crack law. Why? Because of the internet porn guys, the chomos that are the perverts looking online and stuff. Um, yeah. So if you're talking about that, yes, they also have what's called the Adam Walsh Act, or the civil commitment guys there. Those guys were civilly committed, meaning they already done their time, and they deem them. There's a criteria. They have to be mentally ill, have a sex offense, and deemed too dangerous to be in society. I'm not going to go into my feelings about that whole law right now. Um, not on today's show. But there were 75, I think, in was it Duke? Not Duke, not North Carolina. Clemson, Duke. Maybe it was Duke. That was a unit. It wasn't Duke. Anyway, there's 75 in that program when I left Butner 1 on January the 20th of 2011. I know of one guy that was in there who did not have a sex offense. He did not have a sex offense. What he did, he was one of these people that used to call up like prank calls, and he would stalk women and harass them, tell them that he was going to, do bad stuff to them. And he got hit with using a communication device, terrorized. I forgot the actual statute of the crime it's called. But what he did was he took a sex offender program when he was in prison for whatever reason. And those programs, there's people that say they hook up their genitals or members and show them photos. There's all kinds of stories about that. Whatever happened, he said something that raised flags. He then gets out and he's on probation. He gets hit with the marijuana on probation in his house and porn, but it wasn't underage porn. Okay. He got a gun charge afterwards, and the gun charge made him dangerous plus whatever he said during those sex programs. I think that they finally got him out, but my point is it wasn't only for people with previously committed sex offenses. Like any law, which the three strike law started off as some sick SOB. I believe it was the California case, Polly Krause. I believe that's what it started. He was a repeat sex offender, bad one, snatches a little girl up, does horrible stuff to her and kills her. So they threw the third strike law. Then they get the pizza guy. He's got 2 charges. I think they were violent then he robs a pizza guy, and then he gets 25 to life. The feds then have their own version, which I got, which was mandatory minimum life. 2 prior drug convictions, boom, I'm hit. So, like any law, the prosecutors that get crazy and just go too far with it. That's just what happens. That's human nature. Um, what do you think about the ABT, Marcus? What are you trying to get me into right now? What are you doing about it? Exactly. What do I think about it? I think there's good ones and bad ones. That's what I think. I think that they had a structure. If you're looking from a gang aspect, that was something. Okay. Now they have. I don't know what they have now. I do not know. Okay. I don't. They had generals in different spots. They had geographical regions and all that. That they structured out really well. You had to go to church once a month, I believe. You had to kick up some dues. And I know somebody that was high ranking, and they had, if you wanted a normal job, they can get you a normal job. You're still paying dues. If you wanted to go kick indoors, they had a job for you. Bouncers, drug dealing, whatever. Um, so in that aspect, they had a great thing. Like everything else, you have leaders at the top who have ulterior motives. So the money from the membership dues get kicked up from the war chest, and they just go to somebody's arm. You know, I'm not saying that about the ABT specifically, but no, that's what happens. But what do I think about them? High profile gang. I do remember a guy on NPR talking that was got hit with 20. He was an ABT and he was pissed off because all his brothers, a lot of them snitched, and they started weeding them out. He was like, "This is a good thing for the ABTs. Now we're going to know who's who." That's debatable. You know what I mean? Um, one of the problems with gangs is if you're in a gang, it's easier to snitch. It's easier to tell. That's one of the problems. You have more information. You can get a lesser time if you're a gang member. And if you're at the top, you can almost walk. That's just the truth of the matter. I would imagine that. Okay, okay. I would imagine the only color that matters is green when it comes to smoke. Yes. How much is a pack of Newports in prison? Do you have to be a millionaire to be able to continue your 2 pack a day habit? The Gosta for sure. Look, I was paying $500 for a cart. I was trading mine for pills. I didn't trade them for money. Okay. Um, so in 2005, when they took away cigarettes out of Lewisburg, packs of Bugler rolling tobacco jumped from $10 in one day to $50 to $150 within a month. I think it was 250 within 6 months. So different prisons have different prices depending on the strain or what guards can get them in, or how often the guards are bringing them in, or the intelligence service. There's a lot of factors. Okay, so that's like Suboxone, for example. Strip of Suboxone will go for $400, $500 in one prison, and $50 in another. Just depends. Okay, Alexander, thank you. So, okay, the New York Times piece. Thank you, Alexander, for the other $5. I appreciate it. Anybody wants to donate, I appreciate it. The New York Times piece about Atlanta was published in 2022. Okay, they had a lot of inmates that became sick living there, and officers caught smuggling in dope. So the conditions there, that's an old prison. I don't know how much remodeling they did. That prison was a lot like Leavenworth. Leavenworth, they did remodel. I think Atlanta was older still. So you're going to have a lot of black mold. You're going to have all kinds of problems. I don't know if we're talking about them bringing in fentanyl and getting sick. 2022, you know what? I am not up to date on that. I'm not. So 2022, by the end of 2022, I was well into addiction, um, drinking for sure, like alcohol and addiction issues. So I stopped keeping up with really a lot of prison stuff as far as what's going on in each joint or the law. I came out and I was really engaged in that and into that, and I had Pacer set up and legal, so I can pull legal cases. I did legal assistance on about 10 cases, 5 pretty big ones, and then after my dad passed away, and that's really when I when things went downhill for me in January of 22. I lost track a lot of that. Mike, what's up? And again, thank you for the money, Alexander. I appreciate it. It's been a long time since I've seen you, Rob. I'm glad you're still going strong. Johnny Leonard. So, yeah, I said when I restarted this thing again for the 10th time that I was going to do two quality, if not three quality videos a week and a live. That I still don't know yet, but this isn't my fault. There's a scheduling. There's a couple. There's two reasons specifically, and I've about got them both. So I shouldn't say dealt with because it's not that. It's it's just factors. Okay, scheduling for sure. And that includes job, which it appears it'll be. I'm on. It appears I'll be working late. We'll see, or not. We'll see. There's two different things getting ready to go, and I'll know soon, and then I will talk to the powers that be next week for sure. Uh, California does that too. The sex offenders. John Wolf, it's indefinite detention, right? That's what it is. Definite attention. Okay, so okay. Crazy enough, even though I was very, very short time, 8 months, I was actually in prison here in North Carolina when they took cigarettes out of the prisons in 2012. That's crazy. 2012. So you're talking about state prisons. The feds did it in, well, different prisons. Leavenworth just took them out in one day. We had a warden at Lewisburg named Joseph Smith, and he gave us a grace period. He told us almost like a year in advance, for sure 6 months, about 50 cartons of bugler. I was sober during that time. There was two periods of long sober time while I was incarcerated. One was nearly 3 years, 30 something months, and the other time was 3 years, 8 months, and 27 days or something like that. During that time, I had a big store and I was a prison pimp. Okay. I mean, I had a lot of stuff, and I had all this extra commissary because I had a big store, and I had somebody knocked a hole out in the center blocks. Lewisburg's an old prison, and we made a big hole at 50 cartons of bugler. Then I started getting high again. I started doing heroin, and I sold all my cartons for $5 a pack, and within a day they jumped to $50 a pack. Sick, 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 sick. You know what? I have that on my list, Jaw. A show about the civil commitment inmates would be a great topic that no one has covered yet. You're absolutely right. And I have that already written down. I got a list of shows for real. It's just so the mob stuff things pop up. We were actually out the other night and I heard Stay come on, and I was explaining that about Carmine, and that started boom. I knew what my Mob Monday was going to be. My Mob Monday, I filmed the video. I was driving when I did it because of location issues, and it didn't work out. Plus, my phone video goes out, and this is why I'm here today. And then it was like, okay, so November 1st is right there. I'll just start November 1st. You know, with the Carmine story. Who was Carmine's protection? Same as Gotti's. Carmine did not have protection. I'm sorry. Let me back up here. People literally getting beaten to a pulp or stabbed over a cig that we Joey Bay for sure you can get killed over cigarettes. Let me back up here. Was Barry Mills and Tyler Bingham good leaders of the AB? Well, um, Lonnie Williams, were they good leaders? I mean, they led it from a box. Um, Good leaders. I mean, they ran arguably the most powerful AB faction in the United States. California, they're together, but they're. I mean, it's well, that's a hell of a question. Were they good? I wasn't an AB, so I'm sure people would have issues with them being in a box leading it, but I would have to say yes. I would have to say yes. I mean, wow, what a great question, though. People are literally getting beat up. Okay, is the SAC more powerful than the AB? Okay, Luciano. No, it's Lonnie. The sack more powerful. So look, here's what happens. For whatever reason, one member of the ABs can come on any compound. A lot of the guys immediately bow to him, so to speak, based on legend, based on whatever. Okay. I happen to think that SAC is just they from a prison gang aspect, they have simply amazed me. Um, I watched that gang come into the feds with just a few people, freaking just encompass it. Just so many people. Now I know a lot of people say they patched up this person and that person. This person's a piece of shit. That happens in a lot of gangs. The Sacs went for numbers. When they started their gang in Utah, they started the numbers for numbers. They patched up less desirables. Um, Tin Man, the founder leader, or that's his gang. Um, I, they did. I mean, I have to give it to them. They did, as far as a gang, did a remarkable job. I'm not promoting that stuff or that life. I'm saying you're asking a question: are they more powerful? I would say yes, but look, I'm not there. I know that they have some serious numbers, some serious guys. The AB still prides himself on having the best of the best. I'm not there, okay? For whatever reason, the AB still lives off the legend. I'm not saying that they don't have guys that are about it or killers or whatever, but they have small numbers and they're able to get away with so much based off legend. And people always get this thing messed up where they think these are one big gang. There's a million, there's almost an AB in probably 30 states that have nothing to do with one another. I think some have affiliated loosely. I think they've tried to. I think out of Mississippi, they've tried to unite something, but they're not all one. Nothing. They're not. They're not nothing alike. But yeah, good question. Brought the subject to Carmine, but it's okay. No, Carmine never had protection. If anybody ever said that, they're lying to you. Barry Mills, AB brother, my brother Robert. What's up, buddy? Uh, do bad. I don't understand when they talk about the California car and the feds. Does that mean whole states get off? Every race participates. So if you're not patched up with the gang, okay, I'm from California originally. Okay. So if I was in Leavenworth and I didn't patch up Dirty White Boy, which I did, I would be considered a California guy or an Arkansas guy because I fell and I actually sat at the Arkansas table first. I mean, I'm really I'm both states kind of, from California, raised there. Every summer as a kid, came out to Arkansas, then moved to Arkansas when I was 22, but I started going to prison. Um, so there will be guys from California that are not in the gang, but they're in the California car. However, if the AB calls on the California car, normally they jump. That's a legend. That's how it works. What more have you learned about the SAP? Uh, what more have I learned? So, I mean, nothing new that I haven't already talked about. It just means like the Cali click, Joey Bay. That's right. Let me get back to that. Hold on, Lonnie. Depends on where you're at. As far as I know, SAC isn't known for having power in California. Okay, I think Utah. So Utah's our stronghold. They had like a clubhouse or something they went to. Actually, Saw did that as well. That's another Utah game. But they mushroomed in the feds for sure. Man, excuse me. So yeah, they mushroomed in the feds for sure. You know what I ate like 2 hours ago? This freaking sweet tart. I don't even like, and I'm just like, wow, lit me up. Does it mean California click? I ran into Robert Wagner, who was a dirty white boy when I was locked up. Was he a solid dude? I've heard really good things about Robert Wagner. I have, for sure. I hope you got to church, Rob. God bless you in life. Kingdom. I was at church last night. Church last night. Just for a short period of time. Confession. Uh, the priest didn't show up because they had a different mass, so I was there for a little bit. But yeah, going to church. Yeah, I was on State Pumpkin Patch and Camp Green. Okay, Joy. Do I know what a car is? Okay, that's it. So do drug addicts try to get sent to a facility where the drug is cheap? No, no, I wouldn't. I mean, well, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold on. I could have put this up too. Forgot about that. So do drug addicts try to get sent to a facility where their drugs of choice is cheap? I do know people are like, yeah, if you go to this prison, like, I'm going to transfer up there. So for sure, yes, for sure that happens. Yes, that's okay. You guys are doing that. Okay. So Marky Mark, there he is. There he is. You're right. Cars are counties in California. So this is a state prison guy, homeboy San Pedro. Shout out to you. And he's saying that the cars are counties. So for sure, like LA County, and then you got your group. So I'm from the harbor area. I'm from San Pedro. Then you have South Bay, which is Torrance Redondo. So as soon as I got in there, where you from? I'm from Pedro. So you're south. So you're harbor area. You know. So Mark, he knows exactly what he's saying. City cars to less extent. There's county cars in the okay. There you go. Yeah. Um, for sure. So Mark remarks want to ask about that. He knows that. What's the day-to-day routine like of a gang member in your experience? Plot, plot, plot. So speaking from experience only, try to put out fires that the other brothers have caused. Let's see. Okay, Lonnie, I'll get to that. So what's experience? My experience trying to put out fires that some of my brothers have caused, plotting on the next sack, um, coming up with the next introduction. Who's gonna bring in who's gonna mule in what? Um, running poker tables, running stores, um, plotting, plotting, sun up to sundown. In Cali, when you're on mainline, you will have a job and you will be going to work for sure. I don't know if I told you this, Mark. Any Italian guy I put in work and good with their hands. Benny Giarratano. Benny Giarratano is a one man wrecking crew. Yeah, there's more for sure. There's more. I'm just off the top of my head trying to think right now. Yes, yes. I'm just not. I'm locked. Running a yard is all about keeping the house clean. Mark, remark. Wait a minute. What's the quality of life like in prison you got sent to? Bonnie, boy, you're asking some really good questions. Quality of life. I went to Leavenworth young. I got into drugs 15 minutes after I was there. So what my quality of life was party, party, party. Um, the food was great in the feds at the time. The hole was fun. The hole was fun. Um, it was a party. Quality of life. It depends on the individual. I drowned it out my pain like a lot of other times with drugs and alcohol for sure, for sure. So it's just about that. Yeah, Mark, we're on the same page, bro. Well, yeah, you got it down. Okay, so Harbury, great show and content. Have a good safe day. Have to go. Keep it coming. Foosball, thank you. Foosball for life. Mark Harbury. Did you get into fights on a regular basis in the pen? No, I did not. Not on a regular basis. So I got my ass tore out of the frame in county jail. Um, Cops paid some people chicken, but anyway, it was a staff issue. But then, I did a video about it. But no, I was very fortunate, and I hate to say it like that. So I was in ten altercations in the feds, not all one on one. I never, after almost dying in '97, uh, I didn't lose. I'm not saying they're all just some badass fights or whatever, but and what, one, two, three, 4 were with two people. So like two on, we went to go bang somebody out. But yeah, I was really lucky. And I always would say every time after about 6, I'd say, this is the one. This is the one I'm gonna get just ripped up. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. The one that I knew I was gonna basically die was with Jerry. Um, did a video about it, Jerry Benham, and it was a fluke. It was a fluke that I did what I did, and I was drunk, and I had a sardine can, mackerel can lid, and he didn't expect it, and he liked to look at himself in the mirror a lot. And when I got him, it destroyed him. That's true. But he had respect for me, and I have respect for him for sure. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Politician, you're putting you're putting out fire for sure, for sure. Hey, I'm going to tell you something. Cancer saved my life. I'm out because I had cancer and because of a judge and other factors. Girl I met in prison, Carmine Persico, Joey Testa, all these factors are the reason I'm out. And I mean that. Um, I did have the keys to the dirty white boy car at the time. Okay. And it got to be a drag. It was a freaking headache. And when I got cancer, it was like a relief. It was. It was. Did you know the AB shot caller, Big Al Benton? I know who Big Al Benton is. I did not know him in prison. Okay, Grind. I'm sorry. SAC, Soldiers of Aryan Culture. Their founders were originally white kids out of Utah who watched too much Yo MTV raps and became Bloods in Utah. And that's not putting them down. That's a fact. Okay. I knew Tin Man's brother, Taz. I loved Taz. I heard he got into drugs and dropped out and had gang problems. So the SACs formed in the Utah State Prison, and their leaders had a vision on how to grow them. Tin Man, that's who it is. And Sweeney, or however he says his last name, damn it. And wanted to make a name for themselves. So their claim to fame was they were going to bomb the Olympics, got caught, but some of them did some crazy stuff on the street that got their name in the papers, and they went into the federal system. While they were getting sentenced in the feds, they got put on no communication status. And when they went to court, they all jumped and started rioting in the courtrooms. And then they had a thing where they were going to hit anybody that wasn't white, started doing that. And they really made a name for themselves, then came into the feds and just blew up. And yeah, so Soldiers of Aryan Culture, that's what it is. And I'm sorry, I have to explain that because there are people that don't know that stuff, but I got a lot of in here that do. Yes, that's what it is. Split his wig. I'll send you candy, Rob. I know that helps with addiction. My brother is always looking for candy when he's out of. Don't send me candy. Listen, listen. I had a really good workout routine going until last Thursday. And yeah, so I have a lot of stuff to do that I'm dealing with, but it's about behind me. And I say about it, I'm right on the cusp. A little bit of I don't want to make setback like that. A little bump in the road, and I'm not talking the addiction thing, a little bump in the road, but and that's scheduling, the same meetings every day, like that. But I'm good. I don't want candy. I want salad. Send me salad, okay? And actually, so my mom took me out today for my birthday. I had soup and salad. Lonnie, are the Nazi lowriders recruitment brands? It can be seen as that, but there's some that are not. How's cancer currently doing? I have one more month. One more month, I go back for a checkup, and it seems fine as of right now. Thank you for asking. Soldiers of Aryan Culture. Okay, so I'm about at the point where I have to go finish the quiche. Italians not part of Brooklyn, Bronx, or generally New York car, correct? If that's true, I hear in the Fed pens there's no more than 5. Do they get pushed on? Okay. Italians are not part of the Brooklyn, Bronx, or generally NYC car, correct? Well, so In Lewisburg, there was so many guys that were mobbed up or affiliated, and they would consider them the New York guys. Okay, so that was there. Different prisons, depending on the amount of guys that are Italian guys or mob guys there are, yeah, they all sat in one section. That'd be like the New York section, you know. Do they get pushed around? Um, a lot of them are model inmates. A lot of them have money, and I have said before they got extorted, but guys in that life would say no, they paid for protection. So you know what I mean? But there's some badass. There's some ones that are not. How did Tin Man get his nickname? I really don't know. I think it's on the. I think you can find that. What was the first time out on the yard like? Um, First time out on the yard would be in Arkansas Department of Corrections. I didn't see any homosexual activity, so it was really otherwise when I was in there all day. Yeah, it was crazy in Arkansas at that time. New York cars. So you're talking about in general, ride with the Italians. It depends. Like I said, so yes, yes. So the New York car, most of them are Italian or Irish, but they're all bunched up in the New York, yeah, in the New York section, so to speak. You guys, it's past an hour. I've been trying to do this for an hour. Really great questions tonight. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys being here. Again, I know the scheduling thing when I just jump on sucks. I know it would even help build my channel if I was consistent. I'm aware of all that. Okay. Um, I'm just unable to, but I'm about there. Okay. I'm about there. So things are good. Just a few more little pieces, and then I'm about saying, okay, this is going to be my schedule, and I'm almost there. Today, it looked like I finally got a definitive thing where I'm almost there. So have a good night. It's Wednesday. I don't know if we got something going on. I'll find out. I'll post something about the next one. I surely can get a video done tomorrow, even though I have a lot to do. Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you guys for being here. Happy All Saints Day. Hope you guys had a good Halloween on a day that sucks in the middle of the week, or the beginning of a week, whatever, on a Tuesday. Appreciate you.